Social Security is one of the largest programs in the United States that takes over $1 trillion per year to run. But experts are now looking at Social Security. Lawmakers are looking at Social Security to figure out if there's changes that should be made. And there are. But what do those changes look like? Well, today I want to explain what some of those changes are and just give you peace of mind because President Trump just drew the line at Social Security in the Republicans' proposed budget and says that no, Social Security cuts are off the table. We cannot touch Social Security. But there's another program that could be on the chopping block. I'll get to that in just a moment, explain more on what is going on, but why millions of Americans should be upset about what has gone on over the past several decades. So I'm going to break this down in just a moment, but all I ask is one thing. It takes 2 seconds. Go ahead, hit that like button if you enjoy these daily updates. And now let's begin. So let's start with the big announcement. Look at this. Trump drew the line at Social Security cuts in Republicans' proposed budget. Says, but Medicaid is on the chopping block. Now, we will get to Medicaid in a moment. Actually, we'll probably do that in the next video. But for now, let's understand what's going on with Social Security. Now, we're going to get to a little bit of this article in a moment, but I want to show you some things, okay? One of the big questions I've been getting asked a lot lately is President Trump cutting Social Security, or has he cut Social Security funding? Now, the answer is simple. President Trump and the Department of Government Efficiency are looking at ways to reduce expenses, not from the Social Security Trust Fund by making cuts to your benefits, but making cuts to the Social Security Administration to make it more efficient. Now, I want to play you a clip. This clip has many people extremely upset because of what this person is saying. This is Marco Rubio. Listen to what he has to say.
One of the things I see a lot in South Florida are people that have been in this country, that maybe came from Cuba 45 years ago. They've worked here their entire lives. They retire. They get $800, $900, $1,000 a month from Social Security. And then they run into somebody who just got here from Cuba 3 months ago, 29 years old, doesn't work, and is given $1,500 a month in benefits by our government because they're refugees. That refugee, a year later, is traveling back to Cuba 15 times. So you're a refugee fleeing oppression from a place that you now go back and visit 15 times the following year. And in the meantime, we're giving you Medicaid, food stamps, health care for your children, cash payments from the refugee fund. So imagine if you've been working here for 40 years and your Social Security check is smaller than the benefits going to a 28-year-old able-bodied person who just got here. That's real. That happens. That's happening every day. That makes no sense. One of the things I see.
There you go. So people that have been working in the United States their entire lives, getting their social or their having to pay Social Security taxes on their income for the past 20, 30, 40, 50 years. Then they go and collect Social Security benefits, and then they realize that their benefits are the exact same as somebody that, again, just got here to the United States. And maybe it's not a 28-year-old person from Cuba. Maybe it's not, a 34-year-old from, Turkey, right? It could be anybody. But here's the issue people have, is how is this fair? Now, I understand, people come into the United States to get away from, to flee whatever disaster they're getting away from, whether it's from, Cuba or somewhere else, it doesn't matter. But the crazy thing is, this is happening. And this is where a lot of our tax dollars are going. A lot of the money that's in Social Security is being paid out to many people that have fled their own country to come here. And so now the benefits that many of you guys have been paying in for 20, 30, 40, 50 years, they're being pretty much redistributed, okay, to other people, not necessarily you. That's a little concerning. And that is one of the things that Republicans are trying to get to the bottom of, is where is all this money going? So yes, there are many people looking into Social Security at this time, but as far as cuts, it could be difficult because Social Security is a very complex program. Okay, so once we start to get more information on this, we'll see what happens. But that is part of the struggle is many people, millions of people are receiving Social Security payments every single month when in reality, they probably shouldn't. But look at this. It says Higgins, this is Congressman Clay Higgins, calls for swift implementation of the Social Security Fairness Act. You're probably wondering, well, what is the Social Security Fairness Act? Why does this actually matter if I don't get it? Well, the Social Security Fairness Act was passed into law, I think in beginning of January, or actually says right here. The Social Security Fairness Act, which was signed into law on January 5th. Okay, so what this is allowing Congress to do, or is Congress essentially allowed about 3.2 million people to receive additional benefits that they weren't getting before because there was pensions and other things. They were government employees like teachers, firefighters, police officers, people like that. Well, essentially what this allowed is now 3.2 million people are going to get this increase. Well, this increase is going to be delayed because this increase means you're going to get either a $330 per month increase to your already established benefits, you'll receive a $760 increase, or you'll get about $1,200 increase per month. That's huge. Guess what? Social Security doesn't have that. They don't have that money. This is going to create a $196 billion deficit over the next 10 years, which means just under $20 billion a year. That we have to find this money first so that we can pay it out. There's no line item for this, according to reports. That's interesting. But again, I bring that up because what we are seeing right now is, yes, there's discussions on making cuts, but according to reports and according to Business Insider just the other day, it says Trump drew the line at Social Security cuts, but it opens up the door for Medicaid cuts. I want to read a little bit of this to you. It says House Republicans unveiled a budget draft that potentially cuts critical Medicaid funding. The Budget Committee draft instructs the Energy and Commerce Committee to cut at least $880 billion. It says House and Senate GOP leaders aren't on the same page when it comes to advancing Trump's agenda. What we are going to see very soon is people are going to be asking questions. When they start asking questions, that's where we're going to see some interesting things. Okay, I want to show you some of the questions that are being asked. Look at this right here. Okay, this is from Senator Angela Brooks, but she asks, does cutting Medicare lower the cost of eggs? Says, I don't think so. How does slashing funding at the Social Security Administration cut the cost of gas? And how does Elon Musk having access to Social Security lower the cost of prescriptions? It doesn't. I want to answer those questions. How does cutting Medicare lower the cost of eggs? Well, first off, no, it doesn't. But here's what you need to know. Cutting Medicare expenses could help reduce taxes that are actually paid into it. So currently, Medicare is paid for by the employers or taxpayers, the employers, and depending on the program that you choose, like Medicare Part B, that runs, I think, like $189 per month. Okay, so yes, does making cuts to Medicare help with the cost of eggs? No, not directly, but it could put more money in your pocket. So yes. How does slashing funding at the Social Security Administration cut the cost of gas? First off, it doesn't. Okay, it just doesn't. But if we can lower the national deficit, and just stay with me here for a second, if we can lower the national deficit, then we don't need as much money being taxed, okay, in order to pay for these programs like Social Security. Again, we're paying into Social Security, but what about the Social Security Administration? That's a whole new set of funding. That's, again, part of the issue. Cutting wasted spending from Social Security, right? Being able to be a little bit more efficient could help in the long run, but in the short term, it's going to create temporary pain. And then how does Elon Musk having access to Social Security lower the cost of prescriptions? First off, it doesn't. Him having access to Social Security does nothing as far as lowering the cost of prescriptions directly. But listen to this. One person says, but what it will do is by giving Doge access to the system where they can find fraud. Once they find fraud, they will do whatever they can to put an end to it and to recoup the losses. By doing this, it would lower the expenses from the program, which would lead to increases in benefits or possibly lower payments for things like Medicare Part B. Okay, so there are changes that are happening. We are likely going to see cuts to Medicaid. It's on the chopping block. But the good news is Medicare and Social Security, as of now, are supposed to be untouched. This means changes are coming. We are going to see increases, but it just depends where those increases are going to happen. Will they only be to the 3.2 million people that have been approved for that Social Security Fairness Act, the additional payments? Or will it be to the 60 plus million people that get Social Security every single month? Well, that's what we're going to have to wait and find out. All I can tell you right now is that yes, changes are coming, and many people are upset that the United States is giving millions of dollars away every single month to people that have come here illegally or that have actually not paid a single penny into the system. So we'll see what happens moving forward, but that is what we know as of today. So again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.